Hiya, welcome back to One Piece with our chapter 1101 review. The chapter is titled Dear Bonnie. Got some nice art going here. We've got Luffy on the cover of Shonen Jump. He's snowboarding. There's a patch on his jacket that says Goofy. That's interesting. Got Chopper and Nami. Nami on skis. Chopper riding on her head. Notes from Oda. I went to see my first Godzilla movie, Godzilla Minus One. What a starting point. I'm gonna check out Shin Godzilla next. Well, that's interesting. Minus One was got Oda's first Godzilla movie, so he's never watched any Godzilla movie before then? Huh. You'd think he'd be a fan of Godzilla. I guess he wasn't until now. We've got a color spread here. It's Vegapunk and all of his satellites. Very nice color spread. Shows off all of their color schemes. It's fitting since they are probably going to show up in the anime in the start of next year. So it's good. We finally have the color schemes for all of them. Okay, first page, 3 years ago. Mount Kolobo, Kingdom of Goa, East Blue. Or Kolubo, Luffy's hometown. Gum Gum. Got what looks like Luffy's legs sticking up in the air, so it looks like he's practicing his Gum Gum axe. Kuma is looking on from a distance. Yep. Axe. Luffy crushes a boulder with his Gum Gum axe. The giant alligator and tiger are startled. Gah! And there's Kuma in the woods looking towards the opening where Luffy is. Now he's thinking dragon. He's flashing back. He seemed familiar with this island. Not only that, but when I went to stretch my legs earlier, I found a remote village on the outskirts. There was a young boy there. And then Dragon says nothing. Now Dragon speaks. If you keep talking about this, you may as well kill me yourself. There's question mark over Kuma's head. What do you mean? A child is their parents' weak spot. Then Kuma is startled, realizing that the boy he saw was was Dragon's son. I'm sorry, I'll forget what I saw. Now Kuma's thinking again. Watching Luffy. Now Luffy speaking. What an awesome finishing move. I'll save her for when I'm against a super strong enemy. After I set sail and get my crew. I gotta be ready for when someone tries to take them away. I won't ever let that happen. But if anyone tries it, blam, I'll give him a Gum Gum axe to the face. Pretty cool, huh? And then Rumble. The alligator and crocodile, or the tiger and crocodile, both have lumps on their head. Because I guess they attacked Luffy and Luffy beat them up. Don't worry, I don't eat wimps. Monkey D. Luffy, age 16. So this is 1 year before he set sail. Still watching. Now his Dendamushi's ringing. Ring, ring. Ring, pop. Who's that? So Kuma used his powers to disappear before Luffy noticed him, because his Dendemushi started ringing. Weird. But what's that feeling just now? It gave me chills. I bet there's still some tough opponents around here. I'm gonna whoop them all before I set sail. Now we're back at Kuma's pirate ship. So it's interesting. It has the art from Bonnie. You have this Jolly Roger. And then on the smaller sail above, it has that circle symbol that he wears on his jacket. Some pirates fled after raiding a nearby merchant ship. Your orders are to blow those lowlifes out of the water. They came out of nowhere. We need to get the wounded to the nearest hospital. Kuma, come in. What are you doing? Okay. I'll go on ahead with them. The rest of you should follow as soon as you can. Thank you so much. We thought they weren't going to make it. Kuma, please respond immediately. Turn yourselves in. Wait, we didn't mean nothing by it. We'll give everything back. Everybody, fork over all your loot. It ain't worth our lives. So going back to the previous panel. Kuma got orders because some pirates raided a merchant ship that was nearby, near his location. The world government is ordering him to blow those lowlifes out of the water. Kuma visits the merchant ship and delivers the wounded to the hospital. Well, he takes care of the wounded and sends the merchant ship to the hospital to take care of the wounded. Then Kuma targets the pirate ship. The pirate ship is ready to fork over everything they have, everything they stole, because they don't want to deal with Kuma, knowing his reputation and power. Now he is writing to Bonnie. Dear Bonnie, the world is full of beauty that can't be captured in photos or picture books. I long to see your bright smiling face as you experience such wonders for yourself. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Sorbet, is it here yet? 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 How about now? Come on. So every day Bonnie is checking and waiting at the mail slot for mail. Come on. I'm sure he's very busy with work. That or the news crews keep messing up. But Daddy said he'd write a whole bunch of letters. Now, dear, letters have to go on a long trek of their own, you know. One will turn up sooner or later, Bonnie, you'll see. And that's Connie reassuring Bonnie. There's the news come in the air. Coo. It drops the paper. What have we here? Alpha picks it up. A newspaper. Another heartwarming letter. Put this in the church's mailbox. Yes, ma'am. Grab. Is it a letter? Nah, just a morning paper. Aw. So, here we see that the nurse, the Cypherpole agent that the world government sent, has been intercepting the mail, taking out Kuma's letters so that Bonnie never got any of the letters Kuma wrote to her. Another one? Yep, how many days does this make? He's sending around 10 a month, so that's a fair few. How's he even finding so much time to write about? Or how's he even finding so much to write about? To Bonnie. Ugh, how mushy can you get? Tear. And she's ripping up the letter to pieces. So that's what she does with every letter. Now we're back to Kuma's writing. One last thing, Bonnie. You're probably sick of me saying this and all, but I love you so much. Be sure to write again soon. All the scraps of Kuma's letter flying into the trash can. Gyo, let's spar. Again? Come on, Bonnie. How about some Jenga instead? I said I want to fight. So I think that's finally we get a name for the guy with the hat. Gyo. And Bonnie is using her altered future ability to make herself big and muscly so she can spar with Gyo, and he's sitting on the ground trying to play Jenga. Bonnie-chan, it's time for your medicine. Now the nurse is entering the room. Am I imagining things? I could have sworn Bonnie was huge just now. So the nurse walks in and sees Bonnie in her huge form trying to fight, trying to spar with Gyo. And Bonnie quickly shrinks to her normal form. But the nurse did see, but she's not entirely sure what she saw. So the world government at this point doesn't know that Bonnie has a devil fruit. And if the nurse doesn't know that Bonnie has a devil fruit, then that is probably how she was able to escape. Because she can use the devil fruit to age herself up to look like Connie, fool the nurse into thinking that she actually is Connie, and then escape. That might be how events turned out. Let's see. Yuck. Does the medicine have to be this bitter? That just means it's working. As if this is some horrid lemon-flavored placebo. It's Alpha thinking to herself. The Japanese use Ramune, which is a lemon-flavored soft drink. Hey, Granny Connie. Why are we hiding Bonnie's abilities again? This is Gyo talking to Connie. To be safe, you know what they say. A talented hawk hides its claws. So it was Connie's idea. Connie is very wise, and it makes sense, being that as former ruler of the Sorbet Kingdom, her and her husband have seen how terrible the world government can be firsthand, so they knew it would probably be a wise idea to keep Bonnie's abilities hidden. But it still doesn't explain how she got the devil fruit in the first place. Okay, we're going to the Navy Science Division, Lab 8. Amazing, Doctor. I can't believe it. I can't believe you did it. Now we have to lift the brain and lab using clouds. About half of what you see here is holographic. I had planned for Punk Hazard to be like this too, you know. I must admit that cut suits you. So we have Stussy, and Big Punk is showing off how he cut his brain, and now he has the hat. He looks like current day Vegapunk. So what they're going to do, I guess he has a holographic layout for what will eventually become Egghead. And they're going to use island clouds to lift the brain and laboratory up into the sky, floating above the island. And he had planned for Punk Hazard to be like Egghead. We've got Kuma in the machine. Kuma, I heard you're going to lose your sense of individuality. I wonder which of us has the most checkered fate. The human that lacks free will, or the clone that doesn't? Knock it off, Stussy. You're just as human as the rest of us. This is Vegapunk talking to her. What exactly should I expect when my personality is erased? Kuma asking. I'll put it like this. You may already have a reputation for being totally obedient. But what would you do if you were asked to kill a child? Kuma says nothing. What it means is you lose not only your memories, but any empathy or humanity holding you back from fulfilling such a command. That being said, you should retain some degree of free will until the process is fully complete. That'll give you roughly 1 more year. Akuma's writing a letter. Another letter? I'll keep writing till I run out of time. Bonnie deserves to know how I feel. I want to send her a whole lifetime's worth of letters before this year is over. Hee hee, how sweet, says Stussy. Bonnie's almost 9 now. I wonder how big she's gotten. Do you think she's changed a lot? I don't know when you'll get this letter, but happy birthday, Bonnie. I'm back at Vegapunk's lab. Things are busy around here. Now we're back to the church. Happy birthday, Bonnie! Congratulations! And everyone's celebrating. Granny Connie made an extra special giant pizza for you. Woohoo, thanks, I love it. So good. Now everyone is asleep. Bonnie's checking the mail. Nothing. There's still no letter. Daddy, I'm 9 now. You said you'd write. Bonnie's crying. And so another half a year passed without a single letter reaching the church. They're showing more scraps of letter being thrown into the trash by Alpha. Revolutionary Army HQ on Baltico. Kuma came to the rescue again. Yeah, it's just like all those other times. The revolutionary forces were on the ropes. But he swooped in to save us at the last minute after that. Yeah, it's just like all those other times the revolutionary forces were on the ropes. And he swooped in to save us at the last minute. After that, he left without saying a word. If Kuma wishes not to be followed, we have to respect that. Kuma-san, I'm sure he has his reasons for keeping us in the dark, says Dragon. So during this last year, Kuma has been rescuing the Revolutionary Army as much as he possibly can. He comes in and saves them and disappears without saying a word. Now we're back at the church. I'm all better. Look, the stones are completely gone. I can finally go outside. Bonnie's pointing to her face, and there is perfectly clear there are no stone marks anywhere, no scales. Now the nurse is screaming, not a chance, Bonnie-chan. You must stay put. We've been told to keep you under close supervision until your 10th birthday. You liar. Vegapunk said I'd be fine after a year, and that was a year ago. I forbid it. Alpha and the others are government intelligence agent, says Nurse Connie, not Nurse, Dowager Connie. What? Shh. She's telling the old people of the Sorbet Kingdom. And Bonnie's there too. She's telling Bonnie. They let it slip while they were getting drinks in town. Apparently, your disease has been cured for a while now. Really? You must be missing something. Why would they keep a perfectly healthy young girl trapped inside for another 6 months? I also find it hard to believe that Kuma wouldn't send a single letter. Yeah, says Bonnie. I've already sorted everything out with Gilgio and the others. Head for the port, Bonnie. Sail the seas and go find your father. Can I really do it? Gilgio and the rest aren't your average fishermen. They're a strong pack of hooligans. I'm sure the pirates and sea beasts will turn tail once they see them in action. They'll be there to help you find Kuma. I'm going back to the palace. I see, take care. So this is Bonnie thinking, remembering what Connie told her. And this does confirm that Bonnie's crew is made up of the people from the Sorbet Kingdom. And now here's Bonnie escaping, disguised as Connie. I'm going back to the palace. And Nurse Alpha responds, I see, take care. So this is the outside world. There's so much dirt and grass. Bonnie's walking along. Look at the sky. There's the sun. Bonnie's actually walking outside. It's a miracle. There really is a God. The people inside the church are watching her leave. I never thought I'd see the day. Bonnie, over here. Gilgio, Tots, Potato. Look, everyone, I'm really outside. Bonnie's running towards the ship that they have set up for her. Where's Bonnie? I just saw the Queen Dowager outside. What the hell is going on? It's me, Bonnie. You lying old prune. There's Connie, dressed like Bonnie. And Alpha is yelling at her because she doesn't look anything like Bonnie. Set sail. Wow. You made the ship look like a pizza for you. Ah, so Bonnie's ship looks like a pizza. Hold it right there. Alpha found us. You think you can get away from me? I'll beat you to within an inch of your life. Enough of this charade. I'll keep you chained up day and night. That'll make things much easier. So there is Connie in pursuit. She's flying towards us. I was ordered to eliminate any accomplices. That's one of the 6 powers. So she's using Soru to fly towards the ship. Bonnie is remembering. Hey Daddy, what did Nika look like? No one knows. Distorted future. And Bonnie leaps up into the air using her distorted future ability. And she's got a buff body again, and her arm, it looks like it's elongating. Bonnie! But they said his body was all rubbery. There was no limit to what he could do in a fight. So flashback to Kuma explaining that Nika had a rubbery body. Distorted future. Give me a Nika-ish future. And then Bonnie attacks with a huge fist that looks kind of like a smaller version of Luffy's elephant gun. And he hits Nurse Alpha and knocks her out. The government would soon receive word that their hostage Bonnie escaped to find her father. Luffy and the others, like Luffy and the others, her vessel would gain fame. It would go from a humble fishing boat to an infamous pirate ship in the new era. A young girl heading for the future. Chapter end and break next week. So we have a good chapter. It's wrapping up the flashback here. Bonnie. So Kuma was just observing Luffy, it seems. Nothing. Yeah, there were no orders from the world government. I guess he was just thinking, sort of reminiscing about Dragon and keeping an eye on Luffy. But if Kuma knew that Nika had a rubbery body, did he suspect, seeing that Luffy has a rubbery body? Did he suspect that Luffy has something to do with Nika? That's the question. Because you'd think he would put that together. You seem familiar with the islands. This island, not only that, but when I went to stretch my legs earlier, I found the remote village on the outskirts. There was a young boy there. If you're talking about this, you may as well kill me yourself. What do you mean? Child is their parents' weak spot. I'm sorry, I'll forget what I saw. So he's watching Luffy and thinking about Dragon. It seems like he's not thinking about Nika and noticing that Luffy has rubbery powers that assumedly would be similar to Nika. But just because he's not saying that doesn't mean he's not putting that together. So pirates around the Goa Kingdom raiding merchant ships. Kuma took care of those pirates. So Bonnie getting access to Kuma's memories will now know all the letters Kuma wrote. And she also knows the world government was interfering. So maybe she didn't attack St. J. Garcia out of something that he did personally, but because he is the head of the world government and he gave the order that led to all this suffering in her life. And he was the one who altered the original deal so that Kuma had to give up his free will. Speaking of, they kind of went into detail about what giving up his free will entails, making him into something perfectly obedient to the world government. Interesting how CBC, how Stussy thinks of herself as a clone that doesn't have free will, even though Vegapunk confirms that Stussy is just as human as anyone else, being a clone. Does this apply to the Seraphim, though? Does this mean that the Seraphim are human, or are they more akin to the Pacifista, where they have no free will? Because the Pacifista are clones of Kuma that have been put through that same cyborg process. The Seraphim are clones of the Warlords that have been... Have they been put through any sort of cyborg process? It seems like they haven't, but they do have that whole green blood system going. I have to reread the description of the Seraphim to see if they are described as cyborgs. But this confirms that Vegapunk creates the clones initially, and they are perfectly human, at least after their initial creation. It shows that Stussy knew Kuma. She retains some degree of free will until the process is fully complete. Gives you roughly 1 more year. So he used that last year of his free will. He wrote to Bonnie as much as he possibly could. He helped the revolutionaries as much as he possibly could. And did he keep an eye on Luffy actively? I guess maybe he sort of did. Keep an eye on Luffy during that time. So Kuma basically made the most he could of the time. And Queen Dowager Connie is an MVP because she had the idea of keeping the world government out of the loop on Bonnie's powers. And she set up the plan so that Bonnie could escape. When Bonnie was cured of her disease, she also figured out that the world government intelligence agents were intercepting the letters from Kuma, and they were keeping Bonnie as a hostage for some reason. I wonder exactly how much she figured out, but she did figure out enough to give Bonnie the basic information and let her escape. And as everyone sort of figured out from seeing Bonnie's powers, particularly when she went to attend the reverie, that she did indeed escape captivity by disguising herself as Queen Connie. She didn't have to amass a pirate crew. She basically already had a crew from the Sorbet Kingdom. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tots and Potato. So those would be the 3, I believe it is the 3 main guys you see on Bonnie's crew. And so Alpha got defeated by Bonnie. At 10 years old, she used her devil fruit. Distort the future, give me a Nika-ish body. So that's the question. It looks like her arm did inflate and stretch like Luffy's does. So she can control the distorted future to give her body different properties. So she gave her body a sort of temporary rubber-like physique. Or did it just make her arm, just make that particular arm, her right arm, larger for a time? It didn't actually stretch. It just gave her a huge right arm to mimic Nika inflating his arm because of his rubbery property. Because in the panel before, she has the huge arm when she leaps up. But the description that Kuma gave her was that his body was all rubbery. So in her mind, she would be thinking, she would be requesting the fruit give her a rubbery body, Nika-ish future. So once again, we have questions about Bonnie's power. It's definitely a strong power. You let her one-shot a Cypher Pull agent that knows the 6 powers. Even though this would be what, Cypher Pull 8. So I believe that they said Alpha was Cypher Pull 8. But it definitely earns Bonnie her bounty and title. So this sets up that Bonnie is an infamous pirate. So did the world government put that bounty on her just for escaping? Or did they put the bounty on her for the crime she committed as a pirate? Let's see. It could be either one. Her escaping doesn't really affect... Yeah, her escaping doesn't affect their plan with Kuma because Kuma is already in the process of being turned into a cyborg. Being turned into the first pacifista. So what we're looking at is it doesn't really change the world government's plan that much that Bonnie has escaped, but it is a possible factor, a known factor that could interfere with their plans. So they would devote at least a minimal amount of energy to trying to take Bonnie back. We got the origin of Bonnie's ship. We didn't get the name, but it is supposed to be shaped like a pizza. Bonnie's favorite food. This is before Bonnie got her pirate mark. And I guess she got the piercing on her cheek in the same spot as the sapphire scale, I guess just as a stylistic thing. Probably because she got so used to having the scale mark on her cheek. So she put the piercing there. So coming out of this, we still have the mystery of the devil fruit. How Bonnie got her devil fruit. We have the question of whether Kuma made the connection, witnessing Luffy's rubbery body before he set sail. witnessing that and knowing, we get confirmation that in the legends of Nika passed down, the legend says he has a rubbery body, which means everybody that knew about the sun god Nika should have questioned why Luffy had a rubbery body. Because even working under the assumption that due to the world government's information, everybody thinks that there is no devil fruit connected to Nika, that Nika just had a rubbery body. And there's also this rubber fruit that happens to exist in the world. Two separate things. Even with that mentality, it would be at least sort of odd to notice someone having a rubbery body when there's this legend about a sun god that has a rubbery body. Maybe some people, someone out there would have to think that there must be a connection between the two. And it feels like if anyone would, it would be someone like Kuma, who was so... I think he's been the one character that has been the most deeply involved in thinking about the Nika legend. So if anyone would make that connection, it would be him. The question is, if Kuma made that connection, did he act on it at any time? Was that part of the reason why he wanted to save the Straw Hat crew? Was it only because it is Dragon's son, or was it partly because it was partly because of Dragon's son, and partly because Luffy resembles Nika to Kuma? Then we have the tacit sort of admission that Dragon does care about Luffy. Though we sort of known that from a while back. It's basically very similar to the conversation he had with Ivankov. But Kuma definitely knew that Dragon had a son while Ivankov didn't, which is why it was such a shock when he learned that Luffy was Dragon's son and Impel Down. So thinking about that, that might be the main reason why Kuma helped the Straw Hats and Shabandia. So will this flashback go into a little bit into Bonnie's actions as a pirate? Because now we're kind of catching up to the main story at this point. Bonnie should assume her adult form and start pirating over the next 2 years. And we do have a break next week, so that means there's one more chapter. Probably one, maybe two more chapters in December. So we've got a good... Every chapter is, for the past few weeks, has been sort of a wrap-up chapter, wrapping up one element or another in the story. At this point, it might follow us to the very end. If it does, then we might get new perspectives on intersections between the Straw Hat crew and Kuma and his family. So, for instance, we might get more of what Bonnie was doing on Shibondi before she actually saved Zoro, and perhaps how she escaped the island before the Pacifista were sent to the island with Kizaru to attack all the supernovas. We might get a perspective, we might get Kuma's perspective arriving at deciding to head to Shibondi and putting together the plan to save the Straw Hats. Those are two things we might see if the story continues to the point where it starts to intersect with Luffy's adventure. I could see them doing that, because giving us new perspectives on events that happen during the story is always a good thing. It will kind of show us the motivations behind. And the way this is going, I think this is ultimately going to lead up to, it's going to show us the final operations and when Kuma completely loses his free will. Maybe at that point it will give us some indication of whether Vegapunk put in some kind of backdoor that would allow Kuma to retain some form of humanity or memory. And it will confirm that. Because that is another mystery, is why Kuma seems to have some memories and humanity left even after becoming completely turned into a pacifista. Whether that was intentional or if this is just Kuma's own will breaking through on its own. That distinction has yet to be made, and probably will be made over the next few chapters. And another big thing is we also have to have show the point in the flashback where Kuma makes the decision to repel all of his memories and thoughts into that giant bubble and have Vegapunk look after it. So yeah, there are still a few points that this flashback can hit on before wrapping up completely. So it depends on how many things. And then we have a new mystery sort of being added here with Bonnie's devil fruit. Because the distorted future is, we were assuming it only meant distortion as in a positive or a negative, like a future distorted if things go good for you, things go well for you, and then a future if things don't go well for you. But it seems like the future can be distorted in ways that are outside of just that linear pathway. Like, give me a Nika-ish future. So a future where Bonnie has a Nika-like power, that would be an entirely hypothetical future, not a linear future, because it's parallel to the future to the present and future that already exist, where Luffy has the Nika power. So there is a question about Bonnie's powers, and hopefully it gets further explained exactly how far this distorted future power can go. Because what if she had, what if she had Crocodile's powers in her head and she said, give me a future like Crocodile? Would she have sand. I don't think her power would stretch that far. If it does, it would be really broken. It would be one of the most broken abilities in One Piece, and it's already pretty broken just on its own with the time dilation and the aging and de-aging of people and objects. It's already a pretty busted power, but it would be breaking into something beyond busted. And it would mean that she should have a bounty more closer to what Law and Kid have than what she currently has. And depending on how the events on Egghead unfold, that might end up being the case. Even though I don't see her ever reaching that level of the sort of bounties that Kid and Law have, because she has gone up against the world government, but she hasn't gone up against the Yonko. So, yes, that's going to be it for the review. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next chapter review, which will be 2 weeks from now. So until then, take care.